And are you with him now?
Well, I might just go and stab him again, but...
Alright, do not stab him again.
Why?
Okay, so just listen to my voice. Okay?
Yes.
Stay on the line with me.
I am complimented.
Okay, are you with the patient now?
Well, I'm in the lounge and he's in the kitchen bleeding to death with any luck.
You're watching Totally True Crime. Today's case takes us to Barrow, a small residential coastal village in the southwest of England. It's in the county of Somerset, with stunning scenery, and the population is just over 1,500. 66-year-old Penelope Jackson lived with her husband David, who was 78 years old. David was a retired lieutenant colonel and a golf club captain. Penelope had been retired for just over a year. She'd worked as an accountant for the Ministry of Defence, and she had been married to David for 24 years. They were known to both enjoy gardening. Neighbours described them as being out in their garden, working day and night. They were described as the perfect neighbours, and Penelope and David also loved to travel, especially on cruise ships. David was not Penelope's first husband, or her second, or her third. He was her fourth husband. Penelope's previous marriages had been far from perfect. She'd got married to her first husband when she was still a teenager. They had had 2 daughters together and split up soon after their second daughter was born. Penelope said this was because her husband had started to be violent towards her, and she wanted to get her children out of that environment. She soon met another man through work. He was in the RAF, and they got married. Penelope was hopeful that she could create a family unit for her and her children. But soon after their marriage, Penelope's second husband confessed that he was gay, and he wanted to pursue relationships with men, so they separated. Her third husband was a man named Alan. He was also someone she met through work, but there was a problem. Alan was already married with 3 children of his own. The couple started an affair, and sadly, whilst this affair was going on, Alan's wife died of cancer, leaving him as a single father to his 3 children. Alan then decided to put his children in boarding school and pass them to other family members so he could focus on his new family, Penelope and her children. They married and had a child of their own, a daughter. As he worked for the army, he was often posted abroad for long periods of time, leaving Penelope at home with the 3 children. Whilst Alan was away with the army, Penelope met her last husband David through work. David was married and he also had children, and soon they started an affair. Alan found out about their affair after returning home from a post in the Middle East, and he was devastated. So devastated that he could see no way out other than to take his own life, which he did via carbon monoxide poisoning. He left his 4 children without a father. His first 3 children that he had with his wife were now orphans. During Alan's funeral, Penelope was described by people in attendance as cold, emotionless and unbothered. In 2021, Alan's brother-in-law, Stuart, told the Sun newspaper, quote, "I was not taken in by Penny. I get the impression that to Penny, husbands are disposable. If I had to pigeonhole her personality, I would say that she was a narcissist. She had absolutely no care for other people at my brother's funeral. She showed a total lack of empathy." Another source close to Alan's family told the newspaper, quote, "I don't think he would have killed himself over what was a failed relationship. I think he was coerced. She had her affair going on, and she wanted to leave Alan. Penelope's life had so far played out like a soap opera, steeped in tragedy. But now she was free to be with David. David left his wife, and the pair moved in together. They got married in 1996. Penelope was David's third wife. He had 3 children of his own, 2 daughters and a son. The daughter Penelope and her third husband Alan had, Isabel, was soon adopted by David, and he raised her as his own, even walking her down the aisle on her wedding day. During their marriage, they lived in several different countries due to David's role in the army, including France and Germany. Their kids grew older, and soon enough, they were grandparents. But there was a tragedy in their family. David's son Gavin took his own life after falling out with his wife, who was pregnant at the time. This affected David greatly, and he became a different version of himself. He was erratic and even turned violent. Their daughter Isabel said that on one occasion, at a family barbecue, David held a knife to her mother after an argument, and it took 3 family members to get him away from her. Another time, she said she arrived home from school to witness her mum with a bloody nose being held up against a wall by David. Another time, she said David smashed the Mother's Day present that she had bought for her mum in front of them both. Despite this, the couple stayed together, and from the outset, they appeared like any other couple. But then, in 2020, the world went mad.
Good evening. The coronavirus is the biggest threat this country has faced for decades.
In March 2020, COVID hit the UK and lockdown commenced. Over the next year, rules about meeting up and mixing with other people would be enforced by the government. When Penelope's birthday came around on the 13th of February 2021, the couple decided to celebrate by having an extravagant meal of lobster and crab, which was brought by her daughter as a birthday treat. They would be joined by their family members via Zoom, the video calling app. They started the video call on their iPads, and family members started to join. But shortly after the video call started, Penelope and David started arguing. Their iPad wasn't charged up, and it was in danger of going flat. A few people on the call thought Penelope had been crying, but she tried to act normal and busied herself in the kitchen, preparing hers and David's meals. They had their seafood starter and then moved on to steak. All was going well until Penelope brought out a side dish, and this would be the straw that broke the camel's back. This side dish was called Bubble and Squeak. Bubble and Squeak contains cabbage and potatoes mashed together, and then it's fried. It's a dish that is sometimes seen as one that's made from leftovers, and it's not something you would necessarily see in a high-class restaurant. When she brought it over, David mocked it. He was making fun of the fact that she was bringing a side dish that was associated with leftovers to their extravagant meal of steak and lobster. He said that she was ruining their fancy meal, and it was then that they started to argue, live on the Zoom call. Their fighting got so bad that the Zoom call was ended, and Penelope's daughter Isabel called her mother on the phone to ask if she was okay. She said that she was, quote, absolutely fine, and that she would speak to her daughter in the morning. But she wouldn't, because that phone call would mark the end of her life as a free woman, and within the hour, she would become a murderer. The arguments continued between Penelope and David. Penelope was worried that their arguments were going to get violent, so she went downstairs and grabbed a knife from the kitchen, which she put under her pillow and said she put it there in case she needed to defend herself. David decided that he was going to go to bed, and as he lay in bed, he felt the knife under Penelope's pillow. They got into another argument, and Penelope told David that she was fed up with their marriage and that she wanted to take her own life. He called her pathetic, so she picked up the knife. She swung it at his chest, leaving a deep laceration. He was bleeding heavily. David's injury was nasty, but not enough to kill him. He went down the stairs and he called 999 to get an ambulance and the police. And as the call connected, the operator heard David say to Penelope that she wouldn't dare stab him again, and that he was going to show her how it felt to have the police called on her. With that, Penelope went over to her husband and stabbed him twice in the abdomen. He dropped the phone, and that's when Penelope grabbed the phone and started talking.
And are you with him now?
Well, I might just go and stab him again, but...
Alright, do not stab him again.
Why?
Okay, so just listen to my voice. Okay?
Yes.
Stay on the line with me.
I am complimented.
Okay, are you with the patient now?
Well, I'm in the lounge and he's in the kitchen bleeding to death with any luck.
You need to help him, okay?
No, I'm not.
Alright, madam.
I don't...
How many times have you stabbed him?
I did the once.
You did the once?
And then he said I wouldn't do it again, so I did it twice more.
So, okay. So in total, how many times?
3 times.
3 times, okay.
Once I thought I'd get his heart. Well, he hasn't got one. And then twice in the abdomen.
The police came on lights and sirens, along with the paramedics in ambulances, and officers arrive on the scene.
Hello, madam. Do you want to just step outside for me a minute? Can you come outside?
Yes.
Thank you.
He's on the kitchen floor.
Okay, at this moment in time, okay, if you just listen to my colleague. Under arrest suspicion of attempt murder, mate.
Under arrest with suspicion of attempt murder. You do not have to say anything, but it may harm your defence. You do not mention when questioned anything you later rely on in court. Anything you do say may be given in evidence.
I'll go in and see what they do.
Yeah.
Could I get my coat?
Just bear with me 2 seconds.
In there. I admit it all.
Alright.
Just get them. Alright, I want to go in. Alright.
No,
So-
he's on the kitchen floor.
Can someone just stay with Devon while I go in?
There's nothing nasty, and I'm certainly not. My coat's in the.
Yeah, just
Ow,
wait
it's
2
a bit
seconds.
hot.
Alright, you okay? You alright?
With any luck, you'll be too late.
Alright.
What's your name, my love?
Well, I'm called Penny, but Penelope Jackson.
Do you live here? You do live here?
Yes. Can I get my coat?
We'll get you a
Right,
coat
get
for
the
you.
ambulance in. Pronto, we need
Oh,
CPR.
don't. No, please don't.
Yeah, we need
Oh,
the
I should
ambulance
have
in.
stabbed him a bit
CPR.
more.
We've got CPR being done at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Penelope, come with me, mate.
For my keys.
Shoe.
For your
I
band, okay?
yes. I stabbed him once because he's a.
No, I'm going to send them all out.
He's an aggressive bully and nasty, and I've had enough. And when he said you wouldn't do it, I did it twice more. Coats in.
What colour's your
go
coat?
in the front.
Yeah.
Grey wardrobe.
Okay, it might be a while, all right, but I'll try and get. There's obviously a lot going on. Okay.
Oh,
but
with any luck, it'll be too late.
Penelope, my advice is don't talk about it now. Okay.
No, I have no intention of not agreeing to what I've done.
Okay.
I know what I've done.
All right.
And I know why I've done it. And if I haven't done it properly, I'm really annoyed.
All right, Penny. I'm further arresting you for murder.
Oh, good.
I've already cautioned you,
Yes.
so your necessities for your arrest is for an prompt and effective investigation
Yeah.
and stop further harm.
Sorry, that one's a bit tight.
So
This
Penny,
one's
We're gonna
We're going to move them
We'll
to
do
the rear
it
in a
in a minute.
moment. The DO's just come out to check your temperature, and then
Right, yeah.
we'll move you in. And then
mind
we'll
your
go
head.
from there. Just stay there for the time being.
all right. I wouldn't buy my slippers.
All right.
I'm not
Do you want her out?
exactly.
Yeah. All right. Just step out. Mind your head.
Yeah. Rightio. I'm very sorry for being a nuisance.
No, we just got to take a temperature, okay?
Yeah. Oh, that'd be just really great. Get COVID on the top of this.
David sadly died from his injuries, and Penelope was arrested on suspicion of murder. The police found a confession that Penelope had written on a small notepad in their home. On the top of the note, she wrote, "Self-defense, pre-med, you decide." A note to her future jury, maybe. The rest of the note read, "To whom it may concern, I have taken so much abuse over the years. Just look at my records from Germany. But he was a good daddy. However, the mask slipped tonight, and that was unforgivable. I accept my punishment. May he rot in hell." The body cam footage and the 999 call were released to the media, and a wave of shock travelled not only across the UK, but across the world. The newspapers and the public were fascinated, intrigued and scared of just how cold and callous Penelope had seemed. But other conversations were happening too. If what she had said was true, if she had lived through years of domestic abuse, could anyone blame her? Was this a woman who just snapped? They would find out at Penelope's trial, which started in October 2021. The jury heard from a lot of the couple's friends and family. In summary, Isabel, their daughter, said that she'd seen David be physically abusive 3 times in the 24 years that the couple had been together, and they were in the years following the death of his son. Penelope said in a statement that David had abused her for decades, and assaults on her included him trying to strangle her, throwing her down a stone staircase, and headbutting her. But there were people who took the stand to give their opinions on Penelope, and they said that in fact, she was the abusive one in the relationship. David's family bitterly refuted the claims that he was abusive towards his wife. David's daughter Jane told the court, "You have taken so much from us all. My father was a proud man. This probably cost him his life because he would never have sought help." She added, "Our society does not promote male victims of domestic abuse, and you took advantage of that and had ultimate power over him. He rung me the night before your wedding and said that he didn't want to marry you. I wish I had told him to run as far away as possible." One of Penelope's daughters from her first marriage even said that she didn't believe that David was abusive towards her mother. Judge Martin Picton also shared that he didn't buy Penelope's version of the consistent abuse that she alleged she received from David. And in the end, the jury didn't believe it either. Penelope was found guilty after 10 hours and 43 minutes of deliberation. It was a majority verdict of 10-2. In his closing statement, the judge said, "Despite professing to still love him, you sought to portray David Jackson as a monster. Whilst there was no doubt, as in any marriage, there were points of friction that the lockdown would have exacerbated, I have no doubt that he was nothing like the person you have claimed. You took a life of another human being. That is a terrible thing to do, and it represents a burden you and all other family members will have to bear for the rest of their lives. Their memories of David Jackson will always be tarnished by the manner of his death and the way you sought to portray him. David's sister Jennifer told the Sun newspaper, "I am just devastated by losing my brother. He was a wonderful guy. He did no harm to anybody, and he did not deserve to die. Now all these lies that she's coming out with about him makes everything even worse. And they are lies. Penelope is no victim. She's very clever, highly intelligent. She worked at the Ministry of Defence. Why would a person like that stick around for so long with someone who wasn't nice to her? It doesn't make sense." They were due to celebrate their 25th wedding anniversary in April. They had 4 cruises booked. Why would you go away with someone who's aggressive and a bully? You would leave them. She could have done that. End quote. Another victim was Penelope and David's daughter Isabel. She had been through hell. As both of their next of kin, she had to be both support to her mother through her arrest, as well as arrange the funeral of her father. At the time of the trial, she was pregnant with her first child and experiencing becoming a mother without either of her parents by her side. Penelope was sentenced to a minimum of 18 years in prison. When the sentence was read out, David's family members cried. This will mean that she will be 84 years old before she can be considered for parole. But just 2 months after her sentencing, Penelope started an appeal against her sentence. She said that the 999 call and the body cam footage that had been released to the media had meant she hadn't received a fair trial. It was also revealed that Penelope had received over £66,000 in legal aid since her arrest. But in June 2023, Penelope lost her bid to bring a challenge over her conviction at the Court of Appeal. And today, she remains in prison as a convicted murderer. Thank you for watching. If you found this video interesting, please like and subscribe for weekly videos like this. You've been watching Totally True Crime.